how has this felt to see how big you've gotten from social media and your show? What is that like to now be somebody who's up for Emmys?
All social media, we have 25 million views. Hasn't changed me at all. I'm grateful. I think it's all because of my upbringing. I think it's because of the lessons that I learned at my father's knee of understanding. And I learned it by example of compassion and understanding. I remember my father always saying, if you can help somebody, help them. If you can help them, help them.
Right.
And that sort of permeated our family unit.
Your courtroom is so different because of the compassion that you show to the people coming through there. Do you ever watch these other shows that are on TV,
No.
like Hot Bench or Judge Judy when it was on, those kind of things?
So the difference is that we are an actual court proceeding, and they are stage productions.
Right.
So they're all predetermined.
Right.
So I've seen them, and I have respect for Judge Judy. I think she does a great job. She's, as far as court judges are concerned, she's the star.
Right. What do you think of, the fact that your brother came up with this idea basically to film, and then how long did he film in the court with you? Decades, right?
He filmed, I think 20 years.
Yeah. Pretty good idea he came up with, right? I guess after all that.
What was my wife's idea?
Right. So they were pretty smart to do that.
It worked out well for everyone.
It worked out well.
Yes.
It worked out well. So even though you've been out of the court for a couple years, you guys are still on the air. People are still seeing what you do. Talk to us about what you've been doing the last couple years.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
the last couple years. What have you been doing since you've been off air? But we still see you on air. But what have you been doing? You're spending a lot of time with family.
Well, I've been spending a lot of time with family. We're doing a lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts, and a lot of exposure.
Right. Now, we all know we've been following along with you on your health journey. How are you feeling?
Well, it's a long road. I'm still battling. I waiting for results. It could be a lot better.
Right. Well, you've been dealing with this for a year and a half, almost 2 years, right? And you're fighting. You look great. You got some of your hair back.
I'm not giving up.
You're not
that's for
giving
sure.
up. Yeah. And you've been walking. You're staying fit. I see you in the gym.
I go to the gym for a short period of time. I make sure I walk every single day. I'm trying to keep my strength up. I think it'll help with my other issue of having pancreatic cancer. So
Right.
So.
And I see from being an outsider and looking into your social media that your family is still number one. You're surrounded by your family all the time.
Always.
Yeah. And talk about now how big your family has become. You have all these people around you. So who are you always with?
I'm always with my kids. We have, my brother, of course, films the program. My son David, my son Frank are intimately involved in it as well. So
yeah,
it's a collaborative deal.
Right. And what keeps you motivated? What do you want to do next? Is there something on your bucket list that you still want to accomplish?
I want to get a good result from pancreatic cancer. That's my focus right now.
Yep. Do you think you have another book in you?
After the response to this one, I think I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's number one right now, I think.
Because
right?
I'm now thinking, gee, I left all this stuff out that I really didn't think that was important.
Right.
But I'm learning that people are interested.
Yeah, they seem very interested.
So we might have number 2 coming out. I'm not sure.
Okay, good. What from writing this first book? First of all, how long did it take you?
Not long.
Okay.
No.
Did you love doing it?
I did it all myself, really, and it just took me 5 weeks, I think.
Wow.
Not that long.
Wow. So all those memories were right there, and you just wanted to get them out, which is great.
Get them out while they were still fresh.
Yeah. And what do you want the takeaway from people reading this to be about the book?
I want to take into consideration the person that you're dealing with, understand their situation, and show some compassion and understanding. All too often, we take a slant on something and we won't change our mind. But I think sometimes if you probe, you find out why people are acting in a particular way. And if you find out the reason, I think you may change your mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good lesson because I think people forget that when they run into somebody, that person may have 1,000 things going on in their mind, in their life that you just don't know about. And if you just lead with kindness, it can really help that person. You have no idea what they're going through, you know?
You know, an example of that is a woman came before me, and she had $500 worth of parking tickets. And I was grilling her, you know, why didn't you pay him, and why didn't you do this? And then all of a sudden she broke into tears. And she said, if only I was there, it never would have happened. If only I was there, it never would have happened. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, my brother killed my son. They had an argument. And if I was there, it never would have happened. And she says, and so my life is topsy-turvy and so forth. And of course, I gave her a monster break because of the problem she was going through. But you never know that unless you probe.
Right, right. I have a question. If you had not taken the path you did, if your father had never put his hand on your shoulder and said, I want you to be a lawyer, or you're going to be one, if you had never been a judge, what do you think you would have done with your life?
I don't know. Most people, most of the kids in my neighborhood had menial jobs. You know, they worked for the city, the highway department, or the traffic engineer department, or they worked in jewelry shops. But my father was such a strong believer in education that thankfully he put his hand on my shoulder.
Yeah.
I should write a book, Hand on Your Shoulder.
That would be a great title. What do you want people to listening to this to know about your legacy? How should they always remember you as they watch your life story? What do you want to be known for?
I just want to be known for being understanding and compassionate. It's that simple, nothing else.
Right. It's such a difficult time in the world right now. So many people live very angry lives.
And helping people if I can.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you have a message for anyone listening that's having a really hard time, that, you know, feels lonely, feels misunderstood? What would be your message to someone like that?
I'd say, well, there's two messages. One, I pray. I'm a strong believer in prayer. The other is I would seek good friends and get advice that's in your best interest and not in theirs.
Yeah.